Hello, moviegoers, and welcome to another edition of Have You Seen It? I'm your host, Denise, and this week I'm going to review the movie Let Go. It stars Halle Berry, William Catlett, Anthony B. Jenkins, and Percy Daggs IV. This movie was just released, and I think it's supposed to be a suspense thriller or maybe a psychological thriller. There's a little bit of both in this movie. So we'll just leave it at that. Because I was trying to figure it out as I was watching the movie. And so we'll just leave it there. When you go to see it, you can come up with your own conclusion, if you will. This movie was right up my wheelhouse, folks. 1 hour, 40 minutes. Perfect. And again, it's one of those movies that that was a good sweet spot. Any longer than that, based on how the movie was developing, I think unless you were going to show me a lot more, something that I hadn't seen, this was perfect timing, at least for me. So in this movie, you have Halle Berry's character and the two young actors that play her sons. They are living in a very, very remote part of, I'll just say, the woods. I mean, there's when the scene starts and you kind of see the setting, it is haunting, but it also gave me some enchanted forest vibes in terms of the greenery. So there was a lot of like greenery and moss on the dead trees and so forth. So I kind of had that feel, but I'm like, well, no, this is, a different type of movie. So that's how it starts. It's very quiet, and it's just them. They live in this old house. I'll say like a cabin, more look more like a cabin, but literally they're the only people in that space. And so they have been there for quite a while. So their situation is kind of desperate and just bleak, if you will. They've all got on old clothes and they're kind of tattered, and it's basically, this is all that we have, and we're in sort of a survival mode. So I'm not sure if some type of apocalyptic situation happened that drove them there, or if they went there willingly and just have decided this is where we are going to spend whatever time we have left on this earth. So their safety is in question because our main character, played by Halle Berry, speaks of evil spirits that are amongst them. Okay. And we have to be careful of what we do and where we go. So that's where you have the rope situation come into play. So each of them has a rope, very, 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 very long rope that is anchored in the basement of this home. And it's anchored in the basement, and then the rope that they attach themselves to, the part of the rope they attach themselves to, is on the outside of the house. So whenever they go out into the wooded area to search for food and whatever they can find to sustain themselves, they must attach themselves to the rope, and they always say to each other, never let go. they also kind of run their hands along the frame of the house whenever they leave. There seems to be some type of wording that they just kind of stroke as they go out into the wild. And so when they do venture off, the three of them kind of split off. So they don't all go in the same direction because, one might find a rabbit, one might find a squirrel, one might find bugs or worms or whatever. So they do all of this, and then they bring whatever it is they find. They come back home. Halle Berry's character cooks it up, spices it up, and they eat it. So that's how they're living from day to day. But these evil spirits seem to just appear. Okay, so you don't know whether or not the evil spirit is actually real in her mind, or whether it is just something that I have conjured up. And so she's got the children, understanding that these evil spirits are out there and they are out to get me and us. And so she just drills this into their heads, but then at some point during the film, one of the children kind of says, well, every time I go out, I've been out, and at one point he actually, ends up not being attached to the rope, but did not feel all of this fear and evil spirits that his mom spoke of. So you have one child who is very, very loyal in terms of, if you say there are evil spirits out there, then I believe everything you say. And then you have another one who's like, well, I don't see anything. I don't understand where you're coming from. So it's a dark and gloomy movie in terms of, again, this is all you see, how they survive. And then at some point, all of the food and, I guess herbs and spices and things that they found out in the forest, at some point that stuff starts to dissipate. You don't have it anymore. You're using it to survive. And at some point, you're not going to have any more, whatever. And so now they're in kind of like a starvation mode. So it was, interesting. There weren't a lot of scary movies. I was not scared. I was not. I just want you to know that I was not scared in this movie. The scary evil spirits that you do see, that makeup was pretty good. It was kind of like, ooh, you are pretty gross, but the ooh, is something going to jump out at me? Is something going to frighten me? That was not there for me. The transformation towards the end, there's a transformation of one of the characters. I won't tell you which one, that goes through some kind of, transformation, and, it gets kind of graphic and gory and kind of gross. That I thought was pretty cool. It's like, oh man, this is really, it's not scary, but it's like, oh, I like your gross factor here. I like that. That was pretty cool. And that's basically the movie. I would have liked to have known a little bit more about the main character and why she felt that these evil spirits were here. She kind of talked about her past and, her parents a little bit. There was a former husband, the children's, dad. But I don't know why they were there. It seemed like in her previous life, living, in the city or in the world, as a lot of people call it, when you are just out in the world and you're just doing your own thing, and and just being, wilding out and all of that sort of thing. Maybe it was not acceptable in her past life with her parents. And so maybe she was put out and you got to go. And so that part, I was just kind of confused on that. And so the ending is kind of climactic. So I won't give away how that ends, but I give this movie, it was okay. I give it about a strong 6. If you like Halle Berry, you'll probably want to see it. I can tell you right now, even though their situation was bleak and they were all, in tattered clothes and, just looking all jacked up and whatever, you can't make that woman ugly. Period. I don't care how destitute you try to make her look. You cannot make her ugly. Her face is just so incredibly beautiful that even in this movie, I could still see the beautiful Halle Berry. So if you want to see something a little different, you want to, play with your mind a little bit, check it out. I give it a strong 6. Okay. So that is my review for this week. Never Let Go. All right. So I'm going to jump into my Nailed It. And since we are in a Halle Berry vibe, I'm going to give my Nailed It to the beautiful Halle Berry for the horrible, horrible wigs that this woman has worn throughout her career in all of her movies. Now, some of the hairstyles were fine because it was her natural hair, but I think I can go there with this Nailed It because Halle Berry understands that she has been dragged for her wigs, and actually she's getting a little laugh at herself with the promotion of this movie, and she has even asked people to wear their worst wigs to see this new movie and send her pictures of them in their worst wigs. But if you want to go back and look at a few, I'll just name a couple that off the top of my head. Never Let Go, this movie, wig jacked up, but it fit the character. Baps, absolutely horrible. The Call, I think she gets dragged for that one the most. X-Men, she's done a couple of X-Men, but the long white wig, that one was pretty horrible. Gothica, Tore Up, and Bullworth. So that is my Nailed It for this week. Halle Berry and the horrible wigs that she has worn throughout her career. All right, folks, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that like button. And remember, we are available on every podcast platform in the universe. Just check out Have You Seen It with Denise, and there I will be. All right, moviegoers, you know what to do. Until next week, I need you to see a movie because I'm going to see a movie. Until next week, bye-bye.